Hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. My name's Maria, and I'll be your host for today's interview. I'll go ahead and hand it over to our guest, John Young, to introduce himself.
My name is John Young. I'm the dispatch manager for Holt, California. Been with the company for about 27 years and just recently took over our dispatching and transportation division.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us. This session today is going to focus on John's expertise and his insights over from his experience over the past 20 years in the industry. We'll get into different types of questions like his background and his experience, industry insights that he might have, best practices and success stories, personal insight, etc. Can you tell us about your background and how you got started in the logistics industry?
Yeah, my family was in the construction industry my whole life. My dad and my grandpa grew up. We had a construction company local where I from in Amador County for about 30 years. So grew up doing that and I loved it. I love being around the equipment. I got an opportunity to come to work at Tenco in 1998. Started down there as a yard guy and working in the shop as a mechanic is kind of where I wanted to go. They were a small cat dealer in Northern California. I worked for the yard and the shop, moved into the shop, and then I really missed being out in the field. I got my Class A, which I'd been working towards, finished up with the company that got me my Class A, and I started driving for them and ended up just loving it. I loved being out on the road and being on the job sites and more with the customers and dealing with their sales team. And it was just one of those jobs where we covered a large territory. So every day was something new. We were constantly new jobs or new job sites going to different areas. And we're small when we started. It was only 3 trucks. At that time, I was working for Gary Runnels, who I took over for, who was the dispatch manager. Through that, I ended up driving for 22 years for them. I love the industry, I love being around the trucks. So coming into dispatch was a good fit for me when I was kind of ready to step back from driving and try to cut the hours down, but that didn't really work. We to learn really quick that there's a lot of time and hours into dispatching too.
Very cool. So you've been part of this evolution from like a smaller company to a really, really large one, and you've got that understanding of what it takes to be someone who's actually driving the trucks.
Yeah.
You've also got exposure to the logistical and dispatch side of things. So you have a unique perspective that some people might not have in your seat.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's one thing that works well, especially with the drivers that I have now is, when they call me or they have a problem or they're coming to me with an issue, they know that I've probably been in their shoes at one point or another, that I've had to deal with the same issues they're dealing with. So it helps when you're trying to make those tough calls that you have experience. You know what your guys out there in the field are going through and what their situations are going to be. They're going to come up again. So you can kind of really help offset a lot of those issues.
Oh, yeah, I bet. So let's move on to another question. What do you see as the biggest challenge that the industry is currently facing, the logistics industry?
Man, being in California, I think we get a real special treat of electrification. That is definitely one we're coming up against now. They're really trying to push our fleets and how long you can run your trucks. They're starting to push in this percentage of electrification you got to have in your fleet. These trucks just aren't ready for, we're in equipment transportation. So we're hauling heavy equipment up and down. We got a large territory. So we're struggling with that. Definitely costs. I mean, how it is, fuel costs, tire costs, everything that we're dealing with is going up substantially. And, as we try to raise our rates, you got customer pushback and our salesmen are pushing back because we're trying to raise our costs to offset everything else that's going up. And it's a struggle. One we've really been dealing with lately is labor shortages. I mean, trying to find a driver, an experienced driver nowadays is really hard. I remember when I first started out being in the truck, I couldn't pull up into a fuel stop and try to fuel my truck without somebody running up and wanting to know how to get on with us. And now we have jobs that will be open for months trying to fill them, and we're just not getting that type of quality prospects like we used to. It seems like it's far and few between where you find a guy that's got experience and wants to do the job.
How do you see technology transforming logistics in your dispatch management? Maybe it helps with the labor shortages. Maybe it helps with efficiency gains. Just want to hear from your perspective, how has technology transformed over the last 20 years or so?
The first ones that we really kind of started experiencing and which have really came in now is, like geolocating equipment and stuff like that. The ability to, we used to, as phone calls or just going off a customer's word, oh, it's going to be over here, or this is where you're going. A good percentage of our equipment now has geolocating equipment on it. So we're able to pin equipment and send drivers a way more accurate location for the equipment when they can't find it. There's a lot of route optimization with being able to look at where traffic is, different maps and different traffic programs like Caltrans programs that show where accidents are. So we can get ahead of drivers and get them the information they need to try and stay, out of certain areas, or, if the highway gets closed, we know about it instantly. Where I think back in the day we did, communication between the drivers, oh, there's an accident up here, or, oh, there's something going on, there's a fire, we get to use that kind of stuff. And then with our asset management, we're just started using Samsara, and that has a lot of tracking for PNs and we can use it for so much on our trucking side, which really limits the backlog of PNs and stuff like that. We're able to track it, stay on top of it, sends us alerts while we're dispatching. It's pretty handy. Definitely, you can see the route that it's kind of worked towards.
Very cool. So connecting the dots here a bit, you said one of the biggest challenges you're facing right now is the labor shortages. So it sounds like any efficiency gain is critical with software and technology out there like Samsara, like Win Logistics Solution. You're able to close some of those gaps with these solutions. Increasing technology means less reliance on individuals.
Less with more, is what we're kind of have to do. It's this year's a pretty good example of it, like you're saying, bringing up like TMS, the ability to see, and I know like you guys are working towards integrating the geolocating equipment into your trucking map. That right there, being able to see where every little piece is when you got a truck near it, it's kind of one of those things, I always kind of tell my dispatch team is like, you could take a perfect day and I could go back through it and find where we missed things, or I could dispatch for a day and they could go through it and nitpick and go, oh, we missed this one. Oh, we missed this one. All those little things with like geolocating equipment and having that up on the TMS truck route map, that would helps eliminate that stuff. Like with TMS, one of the things I've always said I like so much is the availability to like sort and see by say city or job site locations, stores, where equipment's coming out of. I think we've been doing a way better job this year getting multiple pieces in multiple areas on trucks, not just putting one piece on a machine and delivering it up to SAC. We're taking and, we see we got a backhoe out of our dealership and we got some forklifts that could go on with this backhoe. We're seeing that now. We're seeing it better and cleaner, and we're getting those units on the truck, and that truck's now only going to the yard one time and back out to the jobs. And he's hitting 2 or 3 jobs now instead of just loading one machine and going. And then we missed that one. So yeah, it definitely helps. We need to get somehow the industry's got to get drivers back interested in driving and doing this job, because I don't see where there's a world where we don't have truck drivers. That's going to be something to figure out as we go forward. How do we get people into that? But definitely we are learning now to do more with less, and all these things help us do that.
So you're learning to do more with less by utilizing technology like Win Logistics Solution, Samsara, TMS, which is a product within Win Logistics Solution, to combat this labor shortage problem. So let's shift gears here then, and let's talk about some of your own best practices and successes, best practices that you employ to ensure that you're running an efficient and accurate logistics operation.
For me, it's like we were talking before, coming in with the background, working in the industry, being in the truck, being in the yards. My dispatch team, I like to have kind of a well-rounded group. I would like for all of them to have experience driving. I wish they could, but they don't. I got one that it does. I got another one that was on the counter. I have another one that came from a little bit of a dispatching background. So for me, I want them to be experienced in a lot of aspects of our day-to-day job for the rental operations here. So like, it was really important to me to have somebody that was on the counter, that knows contracts and knows what our sales teams are going through, because then they have kind of a firsthand basis of how they should be operating. I kind of try to build a group that is well-rounded and kind of has their hands in different aspects of our industry. when we first came in, the reason I came into dispatch was my boss was looking forward to retiring, and they wanted to have someone to jump in there and start training and take over. And so when I came in, that's what I wanted to do is I wanted to at least work every aspect of the job. I was dispatching, I was setting up the PMs and bits, I was doing the regulatory paperwork, whatever. I wanted to know it all. I didn't want to just, I felt it was really important to have that aspect of knowledge within our dispatching department. I wanted to have my hands on everything. I dispatched for a couple of years straight, before I started taking more of the management position over. And I seen a lot of my dispatches that I worked within, a lot of burnout, a lot of getting tired. And so when I took it over, I really wanted to kind of change how we did things. And so I set up a kind of a rotationary schedule, each of my dispatchers. They dispatch for 2 weeks and then they move to a different. So there's a dispatcher, there's our middle shift person, which basically does time cards and they help import a little bit in the morning, and then they do your PMs and your bits and all this stuff. And then the closing shift comes in, they do all the importing, they'll do permits. So they all rotate through these 3 shifts, but they only dispatch for 2 weeks, and then they get basically a month off of dispatching. Because I found it was really hard for me. Like, every day you're given this giant list of stuff you got to accomplish, and every day you try to work it down and you never get it all done. It's just, you always end up with, oh man, we got these left, we got these, okay, we're gonna roll them to tomorrow, we're gonna work on that tomorrow and get these pickups done. So you just kind of, after a few weeks or months, doing that, you're like, I'm never going to get this done. So I've really found that rotating these guys through and giving them a break for a month and letting them work on the other aspects. We used to do everything, and one person does this, one person does this, and then one person does this. Well, then they take a day off. Now their job gets stacked up, and they didn't want to take time off because no one else was able to do what their job was. Well, now all 3 of my team can do every job in the dispatch office. So when somebody's gone, we just spread it out amongst the 3 of us that are left. That one person's gone, and then we cover it, and then you come back. You're not coming back to this pile. But it also really started cleaning up what we're seeing in our dispatching, because I pushed them all to speak up. If they see something they don't feel the dispatcher might have missed, or, hey, did you know we got that piece there? So now they kind of work as a team a lot better. And like this year alone, like I think last year, like when I first came in dispatch, we were in the high teens in outside haul, which is where we, as a company, you're going to lose more money. You want to keep everything internal. We want it on our trucks, going to our customers and coming back in our trucks. And that was one thing I was challenged with right away from my boss, was to clean up our outside haul, try and get it back down to a manageable number, which we've always kind of held around that, like 10, 11% is a good number. We were high teens, even into the 20s in some of the years leading up to when I came in. So I really took a challenge at that and myself and got it down and figured out what we needed to do to help correct that. So once we got it down to where we were at and we were happy, we've been in that 8 to 9%. And then like this year, since we've changed to a rotationary system, we're running like 4.5% outside haul right now, which is way lower than we've ever ran. It really seems to be kind of, it's funny because like they'll ask the numbers, hey, how were my numbers last week? That's one thing I love about TMS. I can, with 2 clicks, I go up to the search bar, search last week and see completed loads, and then sort it by sub-haulers and instantly see, oh, there's the sub-haul loads. We can get a quick number, and those guys know that, and they're watching it, and they're seeing how they're doing it. It's created kind of an internal little competition between the dispatchers of like, well, I did this many loads last week. It's kind of funny.
Gotta love some healthy competition.
Yep.
But that's incredible. It sounds like what you've done here by creating that rotationary system, you've eliminated role dependencies. You can change people out. Through that, you've shifted from creating specialists to generalists or jack of all trades. And they now all have combined perspectives for the different roles that they're in, and they're able to work better together.
Yep. Yeah. And that's the nice thing. And that's what I constantly tell them is like, guys, like there's not a perfect day when it comes to dispatching. You can go back every day and there's something you missed or something you could have seen. So if I can get them to, if one of them's importing and she sees a load and, my book guy Chris is dispatching and he misses it, speak up, say something. Hey, you got Kyle over here. He's just picked up that backhoe. There's also a roller 5 miles up the road. Let's go grab that. They can all fit on the truck. Then, now we're grabbing two pieces up there. We're not sending a second truck. We're doing more with less. We're cleaning those things up. And they're a real tight. I'm really happy with the team I got right now because they work well together. And like, guys, oh, they're always in there joking a lot. Well, yeah, because because they're working together and we're doing it the right way. And they're having fun while they're working. It's really cut down, I think, a lot of the stress that was in that office. I did it for 2 years straight and it was rough. It was rough because I was just dispatching and I was like, this is not helping. Like you got to get a break and do something different and just clear your head from dispatching because it's a stressful job.
I've never done it, but it sounds stressful. And I can imagine that burnout is real for dispatchers.
Yeah, well, that's us. We're running right now. I mean, I could have 28 on the road. We have 32 trucks, 28 that are on the road, 4 spares to combat, PMs and trucks down. We got a couple in the north and a couple in the south. And then on average, every day we're running, like right now, I think we're running about 25, 26 trucks on the road. Last year alone, we did 24,000 loads. So, it's a lot of work and a lot of moving pieces. And we're doing that from 6 in the morning to 6 at night. It's 12 hours days that we have someone in the office dispatching. So, it's like as much as I was, I've been not trying to fluff it up here, but like TMS, what we went through from TM, which was a great product that, I mean, talking with Lisa was ready to probably hit me with a rock because I was so TM. I was like, no, I don't want to change. And now I'm like, I go into TM and she laughs at me if we got to go look at something. And she's like, what's wrong? I'm like, I can't even use this anymore. Like TMS is so much faster. The availability of information. I'm just like, how did we do this before? And I think that's why we're seeing now this is our first real full year on TMS. And these guys have had a whole year running it. We're really seeing that improvement. I'm happy with that because we're putting up better numbers than even, my boss looks at it. He can't believe it. He's like, wait, what, you guys are running? I'm like, yeah, we're 1,000 loads ahead of where we were last year. And our outside haul is half of what it was last year. I think last month we were another like 200 loads up from the prior year for July. So we're probably close to like 1,200 loads more this year through the end of July. And we're still at like 4.5% outside haul. So we've cut our outside hauling by half because I think we ended last year at 9% and we're doing more loads with literally the same drivers.
That's awesome. That would definitely catch some eyeballs. Like, what is this? Witchcraft?
Everyone else out here, you talk to people and people are like, oh my gosh, it's a down year. It's a down year. And it's not, I wouldn't say it's a down year. It's just a different year. It's never taken off. We usually get these big rushes and it gets really busy. And this year's just kind of chugging along. It's really a strange year, but we seem to be doing good. The numbers are staying the same as they were for us.
Awesome. So I guess another way of thinking about this new approach that you've taken, you've shifted from relying on an older system, something that you guys have been using for quite a while now, and adopted this new modern technology.
If I remember right, I think it's close to like 20 years that we were on, with DSI and TM and then Wind, took over. Yeah. So it's been a long time we've been with you guys.
So with this change, how have you championed it? Because I know just from my own personal experience, sometimes when you've been doing something for so long, it is difficult to make the change and shift to a new process and adopt new technologies. What are some of the things that you did to help with that?
So, like I said, I was very comfortable in the old TM system. And so I had to just stop and just use it and learn it. I had a couple of people that had been on the TM side for a little while, and I had one new person that came in and he only knew TMS. He's never ran TM. So for him, he jumped right in and was like, oh, this is great. And I'm like, hey, man, just got to use it. So we really just kind of buckled down and used it. And then as we learned, we did some training with each of us one-on-one. And, once we really started to see what it had, then we were way more comfortable. And I knew that we needed to move up to this system. It was time to start, and what it's going to offer, especially in the future. Like I said, that, the reporting is coming along now. And then the ability to see our equipment on the truck maps, to be able to look at a truck and see all the pieces that are off rent in that town, like that's huge. That's going to clean up like those little things that we miss every day. And so for me, it was just using it, just getting in and using the system and learning it. It was something new, but we had to do it, I guess. So
Yeah. So it sounds like it's climbing a mountain, kind of sucks while you're doing it, but the view from the top is well worth it.
it's better. It's definitely better.
What trends do you think will shape the future of the logistics industry in the next 5 or 10 years?
Oh, man. It's definitely going to have to be the technology. I'm not good with the technology side. It's not me, but some of the stuff we have seen with like all this, the AI and the so predictive maintenance, the ability to say, hey, this truck's going to run, but they know what they can enter information about, say, a type of truck or truck in a certain type of process and what things are going to wear out, what things are going to need to be addressed at what time. Being able to run a truck a certain amount of miles and know, hey, let's start looking at this because we've seen this happen. I think that'll comes with technology, predictive maintenance, identifying those inefficiencies and stuff like that with technology. So you can look back now and track what goes wrong or where issues are, route optimization. So being able to look at where traffic is or say issues come up and be able to set up routing for your truck drivers. All those little things are going to help cut time and save time, which in the end is a win for us because we're going to be able to get more done on our trucks. I mean, more loads per day with the drivers we have is going to be, is what we're shooting for.
Sounds like the winning strategy.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. It's new to me, so I'm very green on it. Like you see issues, like we got a chatbot that when a truck or a machine goes in for service and it communicates to the customer that, hey, your machine's in the shop, it's coming. They are talking about issues like that are going to be able to go with equipment. Are they going to have some sort of a chatbot that my drivers load up a machine and they hit that they're en route and this sends a text or an email to a customer, an end user, and says, hey, your machine's en route. It'll be here. Those things are all coming, and it's like, holy smokes, really, going from where I was get on the phone, call the customer, hey, I'm loading. You take that time out of the driver's hands and let him do his job. Something that simple saves a driver 5 or 10 minutes of making a phone call and have to get a hold of the customer to let him know he's en route. This could be very easily set up electronically to just go out to the customer. And now you're saving 5 or 10 minutes a load, 5 or 6 loads a day. There's an extra hour. There's another load per day. It's going to be interesting to see as they come in and we have to start using those. I think the big part for our industry will be that fleet management, the ability to stay on top of it, and not so much paperwork. And like with Samsara, I know they have truck tracking for PMs and bits, and that stuff, like it saves my PM and bit list is something would make your brain explode right now if you had to look at it. 32 trucks, and every day you got to track a 75 and a 90-day schedule or the mileage, and then that's got to go to a report that sends me the trucks that are coming up. And now I just literally, I'd send a truck to our shop, and our shop does a PM and bid on it, and they enter it in the system, and it updates on my end, and I'm done. And I'm like, cool, well, there's the next time it's due. And it's right there on the user map on TMS because that has all of my trucks and all the information from Samsara right there. It's like, well, easy enough. There's another, hour job a day on our end that we're tracking the stuff that's going to be gone. It is definitely got a place in our industry for sure.
Can't live without it. Those things matter because they add up.
Yep.
And when you're not spending more time on those administrative burdens and tasks like that, you have more time to do the important thing. Those efficiencies translate to revenue for your business, and that's the winning strategy.
Yep.
Awesome. Let's go into another question set here that is more focused on maintaining customer and client relationships. You mentioned one thing already about sending those notifications, like when the order is picked up and en route or delivered, that sort of thing. So in a similar vein, what strategies do you use to ensure customer satisfaction and timely delivery?
A lot with our drivers is we do track our on-time percentage. And so we keep the drivers updated where we are and how important that is. Our customers are the ones that are keeping us rolling. They're giving us the jobs that we're delivering. And so especially being with Caterpillar, is customer satisfaction, and safety, everything. That's huge. Customer satisfaction is right up there. We got to make sure that our customers are happy with the equipment. We always tell our drivers they're kind of the last line of defense, right? From a wrong machine going out or a dirty machine, we want them to speak up. They see something that's not right, we encourage them to tell us so we can make sure it's right. We try to push our drivers just be on top of it. We track our hours, making sure drivers have time to be off work in time to get their time off for recess so they can get their deliveries done in time. For us, it's just being honest and telling the people what we can do. One thing I tell my dispatchers is we don't want to say no. I hate telling somebody no. We give them options. For us, it's like, you get a chance to do it right. And we always strive to get as much done as we can, but sometimes you can't do it. So give them the options, be open and forthright. Hey, we can't do this, but we can do X, Y, Z. We get handed so much we have to get done. And that's where I always tell my team is like, look, here's what we can do. Let's give them those options and get it to the customer and just be open and honest about it, I guess,
So it sounds like it's all about managing expectation the right way and not telling people, oh, sorry, we can't do that. Too bad. Like, let them know we're working on it. We're looking into it. And we're not going to overpromise and underdeliver.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And the big piece of being able to do that, would you say, is having visibility into the scheduling and the dispatching in order to have that information like on hand when you're with the customer and instantly get back to them with the facts and not be like, oh, let me call you back in an hour or two. The visibility is a big thing here.
Yeah. Being like, we can jump on, right there, like you just said, customer calls, he wants to know he needs this machine by this time. We can pull up the trucks that are in the area. We can on literally 2 screens see the trucks in the area, what they're dispatched on, where they're scheduled. We can look at the scheduler and see what they're scheduled out to be at the yard. And we can give a pretty accurate ETA. We can't have it here at noon, but I have this driver that's going to clear that can be there and load and get it to you by 1. We can see that with the visibility in TMS of what they have right there, which is a lot better than having to call a driver. Hey, where are you? Haven't picked up yet. We're tracking all that. They do their button pushes. They're out for delivery. We know that truck's en route. We look at the map. Your mapping gives drive times from, say, point A to point B already. So the dispatchers see all that, and definitely that cleans up and makes a way more accurate depiction of what we can, right? We can give a way more accurate idea when we can be on site or when we can get something done.
Last question here. We'll bring it back to the beginning and go full circle. You talked about labor shortages. My last question for you is, what advice would you give to someone who's looking to start their career in the logistics industry today?
For me, get your hands on as many parts of the job as you can. If I was, I'm not saying you have to go get a Class A license and go drive, but, getting as much information, studying, learning, trucking, the rules and the laws and everything that goes into that job, work around the shops, learn what the service department, just get as much information in the industry that you're working in that you can, because all those little things come back every day and help you make better decisions, I think, and make you see everybody's job as a whole. And I think it really helps with your expectations of what you can do and what you can get done. So for me, it's just learn as much about the industry that you're going to be working in and take that with you into that position.
Well, that concludes the interview. Thank you so much for joining us, John. We appreciate your time.
Awesome.
All right.
Appreciate it very much.
Bye.